Welcome to my Friday night live. I didn't realize all of a sudden I was live there. I apologize. So, tonight I'm talking about how I learned to love my body after being, like most people, I think, very insecure about my body for many years. I think I was a child when it really began. Uh, do you remember anything as a child that you were really insecure about? I had have I have a birthmark on the inside of one of my thighs, and it's quite large, discolored part of my skin, and I was so ashamed of it as a child that when we were in our gym class and we were forced to sit cross-legged with our shorts on, I would position my arms on my thighs to hide my birthmark. And the one and only time that anyone ever noticed it, a boy in my class said, "What is that?" And I said, "It's my birthmark." And then he just let it go. It was no big deal. I expected it to be a lot more humiliating than that, but it wasn't. And as I grew older, I learned to just accept my birthmark and realize it's just a birthmark. And I didn't really understand why I was so insecure about it growing up. And then when my oldest daughter was born, she had and has a birthmark very similar on her outer thigh. And I raised her knowing how special that was and that it was something that we shared. And so that was something really beautiful, that this insecurity as a child actually became something powerful for my bond with my daughter. So this is just, to give you background, like I had body shame as a child, even though I was just a child with a normal little body. I didn't struggle with my weight or anything like that. I did have a little bit of a pot belly, and that was from food allergies. I did get teased a little bit about that. I also have, I don't know if you can tell, but I have these very bony shoulders. And I was a young kid in the 80s. And I remember a kid running up to me and slapping his hands down on my shoulders and saying, "Shoulder pads," and then going, "Oh, no." I was like, "No, they're not shoulder pads. They're my bony shoulders." And it's weird when you're a kid, these things like make you insecure about yourself. And I have 3 children, so I've watched them go through that as well. And I really hope that they grow out of it one day, like I did with my birthmark. But there were other things. I grew up always wishing and hoping that I would have big, large breasts one day, and I never got those. I have beautiful, wonderful little boobies that I've grown to love. But there was a time when I felt insecure about my small breasts. Interestingly, that insecurity went away when I became an exotic dancer slash stripper, if you don't know what exotic dancer is. And I was naked in front of people all the time and became so comfortable in my own skin. And I also saw so many other dancers with small breasts, just like me, who were just incredible on stage and would get great applause. And so did I. And so that strengthened my confidence about my body. I feel like being in the adult entertainment industry, because you're naked a lot or in lingerie, and you get a lot of positive feedback. You get a lot of attention and people telling you that you're beautiful and people appreciating what you look like. But even more than that, you just get so comfortable in your skin. You just get comfortable, you know? That has given me a lot of body confidence. But there was a time when I thought that that experience might be working against me. And that was when I had a really major surgery. And coming out of that surgery, I ended up with really deep keloid scars, um, down the center of my stomach, just really, really noticeable, and then because they had to use, like, these, uh, clampy type of, I don't know what they're called, but they were like wires holding my skin together. So I actually have like grooves in my skin where those wires were sticking in and holding my skin together and holding my stomach together after this major surgery to save my life. And so my stomach was covered in those scars. It still is. But at that time, I'd been a stripper, an exotic dancer for years, and I had been working in and out of the industry because I would go back to school or I'd have a child or whatever, I was a woman and I would change my mind and I would go in and out of the industry. But I always knew it was there for me. And when I went through that surgery, I became very insecure about my body. I knew I could never dance again because strip clubs have very high standards when it comes to who they let get naked on their stages. And an older woman, I was already older at that point, so that was already pushing my luck to get work in the strip club. And then on top of it, to be completely scarred. Yeah, there would be no way I'd be dancing. So that was a huge uh, identity crisis for me in some ways because I had really identified as a stripper. And not being able to go back to that job, it affected my body confidence for sure. Not just for work. I would wear a shirt when I made love, and I would think to myself, "They probably think it's because my boobs are small." And it's not because my boobs are small, it's because of my scars, but I was too ashamed, uncomfortable to even talk about it, so I just wore a shirt. Uh, and so I'm giving you these examples so that you can understand that I know what it's like to have body shame. After that surgery, I lost so much weight that I looked like a walking skeleton. And I would, more often than I would like to remember, I would have friends say things like, "God, girl, you need to eat a sandwich." And I was already so insecure about how underweight I was that when people said things like that, it was like sticking a knife in me. And part of me wanted to just be like, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you," just like, oh, just rage out and lose my mind and lose my shit on them. But I knew that they weren't trying to hurt me, that they weren't, some of them probably even thought it was a compliment. Like, "Oh, you're so skinny." They're complimenting me, or something. I don't know. But it didn't really have anything to do with me. It had to do with their own beliefs about body weight and their own body shame. And that those kinds of comments come out of other people's body shame. And I knew that. I knew that I was old enough and I'd gone through enough to know that by then. So I was able to let it go when people said things like that to me, even though it was very painful. But I've been through a lot of body shame, and that's what I'm kind of trying to tell you here, obviously. So now I'm going to tell you about how I have largely overcome that body shame. And a big part of it has been working in the adult entertainment industry, but that's not the whole story. Certainly, like I mentioned, being nude all the time and being comfortable nude, that helps. That totally helps you to get over your body shame. Uh, and people telling you you're beautiful, even with all of your flaws, because none of us are perfect. One of the things that I used to say when I was a stripper was, we're not airbrushed supermodels in magazines when you come to the strip club. We're humans, we're flesh and blood. We have zits on our ass and razor burn and sequin stuck here and oops, we missed shaving there. And, we're working with makeup on under uh, bright lights in a dusty, dirty bar. So we get acne. We deal with these real issues of being a human. And yet we're still told, "You're beautiful. You're so beautiful." And "Wow, I loved your show," and people wanna give us money and pay money to spend time with us and tell us all about their lives, so it's and, like, for me, because I had grown up, very low class, like, in this class system, financially, I grew up very, very poor, and the people that were in my family didn't even really like have an understanding of the kind of life that I wanna live now today. It was just everyone had always been poor, and it was just the way it was. We didn't really expect it to ever get any better. Money was hard to get, and we just didn't have that kind of relationship with money. So we just, you know, that's just how we were. So, getting to the actual point here, and also before I forget, because that's what just distracted me, I was thinking I have announcements to tell you as well, and I was going to do that at the beginning, but I forgot. But I will do that at the end. So, moving forward, just talking about body shame, there I did gain a lot of confidence in the strip clubs. Oh, that's what I was getting to. That being equal to people. I'd always felt very inferior to a lot of people because of my upbringing. And so feeling equal to people also helped me with my confidence and my body shame. So all of that is true. But there was a trick that I learned, and only in the last year and a half, or just over a year and a half, that really, really transformed me. And that trick is called visualization. Don't mind me, I'm just having a human hot flash right now. So, visualization. So, here I was working in the adult entertainment industry, nude modeling for my OnlyFans, creating content, wearing lingerie while I give massages. This was my life, but my health was rocky. It was very up and down roller coaster because I have Crohn's, and that was caused by a pharmaceutical injury, blah, blah, blah. But I have dealt with Crohn's since 2008, since I've been dealing with these gastrointestinal issues and health issues. I've been in and out of the hospital. I've had emergency surgeries, as I mentioned before. And most recently, about 2 years ago, everything really came to a head, and my worst fear was realized. My worst fear since 2008, or 2012, I should say, was when things really took a dark turn. But my worst fear was that I would live with a permanent ostomy, which is where your intestine sticks out of your stomach and you have to have a poop bag on your stomach. And I'm like touching myself right now. So that was massively frightening. And I'd had, excuse me, my nose is itchy. I'd had a temporary ostomy in 2012/2013, and I hated it. And it had made me so insecure that I wouldn't leave the house. And I was told I would get it reversed so that I would poop the old fashioned way again. So I lived for that moment. I lived for that day. And when I went in for that surgery, I had it in my head because I'd heard about people going in for the surgery and then coming out and still having the bag, the ostomy, because for whatever reason, the doctors decided that they couldn't do the surgery. So I had a fear that I wasn't going to be able to get that surgery, the reversal done. And I told myself that if they didn't reverse me, that I would kill myself. That's how much I hated the poop bag. So 2 years ago, when everything came to a head, and I realized that my worst fear was realized, and I was going to have to live with a permanent ostomy. And uh, at this point, I was choosing It was I could have gone on longer and kept trying other things, but it would have meant a lot more suffering, more years of suffering, more years of being in the medical system, more years of being in and out of the hospital and doctor's offices and taking medications, and these are all things I'm very against since the pharmaceutical injury that destroyed my health in 2008. So, I decided to finally, get healthy really because I had a large intestine. They'd already taken 75% of it, but the 25% that was left was still diseased. And I had lived with it like that for over 10 years, like, well, since 2008, so way longer. But especially that 10 years since my reversal surgery, where it's just been very difficult life. And so making that decision, I knew that it would improve my quality of life, but I wouldn't be sexy anymore. I wouldn't look beautiful anymore. I wouldn't People wouldn't find me attractive. Uh, they wouldn't wanna see me naked on my OnlyFans. They probably wouldn't wanna see me in lingerie for my massage business. They just wouldn't. Would my partner still find me attractive? Like, I faced this, and because I'd been through it before and it had destroyed me so completely, I knew that I just couldn't let that happen again this time. So, I got lucky. About 6 weeks before my surgery, or maybe 4 weeks, I'm not sure, I posted a big, long post on Facebook about my upcoming surgery, just sharing with my friends and family what I was going through, and I had a woman in my Toastmasters group, actually, who reached out to me in Messenger and told me about a book, and the book is called Fighter by Aaron Volpatti. Aaron Volpatti is a former Canucks player, Vancouver Canucks player, who, against all odds, played in professional hockey, in the NFL, or is that right? No, NHL. Whoops. Sorry. Sorry, sports fans. Yeah, so he also grew up in the Okanagan, which is where I grew up too. So that I found that part of it fascinating. But he faced incredible odds, actually lit himself on fire at a bush party as a young man, and spent months in the hospital going through multiple different skin grafts and surgeries, and you know, for all intents and purposes, probably should never have had a normal life again, but went on to play in the NHL. And he shared in his book how he was able to do that. And how he was able to do that. Oh, hello, Mel. Thank you. Welcome to Hot Flash. You're funny. I know. I'm actually kind of just whatever, going with the hot flash flow. But back to the book. So, what Aaron Volpatti taught me was something really incredible. It's visualization. I already knew about visualization. I was already actually engaging in visualization as part of my personal development. I was imagining and visualizing my future and what I wanted to achieve in my life. So that was very cool. But I'd never used it to overcome a really huge obstacle or challenge. So in this situation, I took Aaron's book, and in his book, he describes how he goes through the process of visualization by creating a script, basically like a movie script in your mind of memories, and then present and then future visualizations. And for the memory part, he wants you to pick memories that were representative of you overcoming something. So it was difficult, it was a challenge, but you got through it. And it can't be something that when you think about it, it makes you feel bad. It has to be something that makes you feel like powerful or empowered, or like, look at how strong I am. I got through that. And then when you go into some present memories, or not memories, but present visualization, you visualize the things in your life that you're really grateful for. So to kind of sum that up, my memories were of deciding to become a stripper, and I visualized myself rollerblading up Davie Street to go to the agency to tell them for the first time to become a stripper, and how scared I was, and I didn't know what to expect, and how I was just determined to do something to fix my life. And that was a huge obstacle challenge that I faced on my own, and I overcame it, and I became a stripper. And then there were, my surgeries, and there were other things along the way like that, and I really visualized myself dancing on stage because that used to make me feel very powerful, and I visualized other situations that made me feel really powerful or really good, or like I had accomplished something for my memories. Then for my present, what I was grateful for, I visualized the faces of the people I loved, and I spent moments just feeling my love for them and my gratitude. So my children and my partner at the time, and uh, just feeling really grateful for what I had in my life presently. And then the future visualization. That was me waking up from my surgery with an ostomy and going forward in my life normally and excitedly with passion and happiness, just like I normally do, but while also having an ostomy bag. And so I imagined myself making love with an ostomy, dancing with an ostomy, standing at my computer working with an ostomy, uh, going out and living my life. I visualized myself doing things that I hadn't been able to do in years because of my chronic health condition. I could never be far from a bathroom. Hiking? Hell no. Camping? Hell no. Even long car rides, there were just so many things, going out for a whole day in a boat or out with friends somewhere for a whole day, anything like that was like a challenge or things I avoided, and I imagined myself with an ostomy doing so many things that I would be able to do. So, but came up with like a very specific kind of script in my head of what I would visualize. And then I added music. And this was part of what Erin Volpatti encouraged too, to pick songs that made me feel powerful. So I had 3 songs. I had a full visualization script. It took about 10 minutes altogether. And I immediately started doing it after I read this book. This was prior to my permanent ostomy surgery. And I like, just to explain how bad things were for me mentally, is I was like crying so easily every day, and everything felt like, oh my God, this is my last time doing this without a bag. This is my last time doing this without a bag. Like I was just dreading it. I was mourning the loss of my body. I was mourning, dreading what it could mean for my business and for my relationship. I was just, and even though I would bring myself back again, because I have learned to do that, I have learned to control my thinking, and I would start negative thinking and I'd bring myself back again. I try to talk myself down, but I would get emotional and I would start crying. And I also know it's important to lean into our pain when we're in pain. So it was just a very difficult, painful time. And I just wanted you to know that, to understand, like, how desperate I was. I was very desperate to find something that would make me feel more empowered in what was about to happen in my life. So I did this visualization for a few days, and at first I had to, like, read my script, close my eyes, visualize, read my script, close my eyes, visualize. And when you're getting into visualization, you're really supposed to go deep into the senses. So you want to visualize the smell, the taste, what you see, what you feel. So if I was in part of my visualization was my first kiss with my partner. And so I would feel like just that rush of that feeling that you get, with your first kiss with someone you love, and just the feelings that would flood my body, and I would get that during my visualization. And, like, part of my visualization was to end up on a beach with my feet in the sand, and I would be able to feel the sand in my toes and visualize that feeling and visualize the breeze on my body and see the lake that spread out before me. So the whole visualization took about 10 minutes, and it was uh, very powerful. And after I'd done it a few mornings, I didn't need to look at my notes anymore. I just put on my music and I closed my eyes and I went through the visualization. And it would go at the same points in the song. So it was the same every time. And the part of the visualization where I imagined myself waking up out of my surgery, smiling at the nurses, and them asking me, "How's your pain?" Because that's what they always do when you come out of surgery. They say, "How's your pain?" And in my visualization, I smiled up at the nurse and said, just smiled and nodded my head or said good or I'm fine or something like that. And then I went on to live my life with an ostomy, totally normal life. Everybody still treated me the same. Everybody still loved me. My business was fine. Everything was fine. After a few days of doing the visualization, and I'm talking maybe a week, I no longer was scared about my ostomy surgery. I actually kind of felt like I'd already had it. I already felt very comfortable with my ostomy, even though I didn't have it yet. I still continued the visualizations right up until my surgery. I was worried that even though it felt that way beforehand, it might feel different after, but it didn't. I came out of my surgery and I still felt totally normal about my ostomy. Only now I had an ostomy. And I immediately, when I got home from the hospital after my first shower at home, I got out and I took a picture of myself naked in the mirror. And I just looked at my body. And instead of just seeing the bag, I saw my whole body. I saw, wow, I'm still hot. I'm just like this MILF with a bag. An ostomilf. I coined that. I coined that term. So it was just such an incredible experience. Like, I did not expect to be able to come out of that surgery as mentally stable as I was. And I'm telling you, I was mentally stable. And even now, to this moment, I've been living with my ostomy now for, it was September 2023. So a year and a half about. And like, I have those moments where I think, will someone not like me because of my ostomy? Or like, I went on dating apps, for instance, and I thought, should I put it in my profile just in case, people don't like it? But then I thought, who wouldn't like me because of a ostomy bag? Would I not like somebody because of that? If thought somebody was beautiful and cool and interesting and funny, and I really enjoyed my time with them, would I give a shit about them having a poop bag? No, I wouldn't, because it's a health condition, it's a disability that improves their life, and I just want them to be happy. So I think, okay, maybe someone will have a problem with me having a poop bag and ostomy. And maybe I should put it in my dating profile. I don't know. What do you think? Should I? But I just think that people won't really care. And so far, most people haven't really cared. Usually, the worst reaction I get is from women, and they react with disgust, like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry that you have to go through that." And I know that's not because they're disgusted with me, although it's easy to kind of almost feel that way. I know that it's because they imagine themselves with the poop bag, and for them, the body shame would just be so overwhelming. And I can relate because I've been there. It was overwhelming for me when I had a temporary ostomy years ago. And it was overwhelming for me when I knew I was going to have permanent ostomy surgery. but I was able to overcome it because, 1, I was determined that I wasn't going to be broken by it. That's number 1. And number 2, I found this incredible tool of visualization. And I'm sure I would have come through it without the visualization and gotten through it and still been able to love myself and embrace myself and find and see my beauty again, but it wouldn't have been nearly as easy as it was. And I'm telling you, until I did the visualization, it was a hurdle that I didn't know how I would ever overcome. But when I did the visualization, it became so easy, it was almost laughable. So I've been talking for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. That is how I overcame my body shame and how I learned to love my body. There's, multiple aspects of it, getting comfortable naked, uh, accepting my body the way it is, scars, ostomy bag, and all, getting positive feedback from people when they do see me naked. If somebody reacts to us in a way that reinforces our own systems about our bodies, like negative belief systems, it's going to make us more scared to be naked in front of someone the next time, right? But when someone does react in that way, what we need to remember is it's not about us. It's about their own body shame. It's about their own like mental issues. And likely it's an indication that they're not the right person for us, and so maybe we need to back off, or maybe we just need to lean into it a little bit with them and flesh it out and work it out. But uh, the majority of people who are decent would never react that way and never treat you that way, and if they do, I don't know, like, stay away from them. That's my opinion. And now I'm going to give you some announcements. I hope that helps you with your body image stuff. And if you want to learn more about visualization or about anything that I've told you, you could read my memoir. I talk about it in my memoir. I'm also coming out with another book that goes more in depth with this stuff soon. And I offer coaching. You can hire me for coaching and I can teach you. We could even create a visualization script together for you. And it would be my pleasure to do that. So reach out to me if you want to. And now for my announcements. I have 3 announcements. Where did I put them? Oh, I don't know where I put them. Okay, I think I can remember them. Number 1, this live stream is right now being streamed on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I am closing down my Restream account, which cost me money, and I'm going to start focusing just on one streaming platform, and I've decided to use YouTube. Now I still have like a month left with my Restream, so I will keep doing YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter a little bit longer, but I will be switching just to YouTube. So if you want to keep watching, you might want to see me or get over there and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Annie Temple. Thank you, Mel. He says, "Thank you, Annie. You've given me new thoughts to think about myself." I'm glad because, sometimes I don't know if the stories that I'm sharing will resonate with my audience or not. And I'm basically talking to a camera. So it's really, really great to have your feedback. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate it. My next announcement is that I'm currently putting out one blog article per week, and I've been doing that for years. I am going to be doing one blog article per month moving forward. It's going to be in the first week of every month, the first Tuesday of every month. You'll get a blog post and a newsletter email from me. And the third announcement is that I am putting my Fearless Living podcast on hold. And so you can see a pattern here, right? I'm cutting back on costs and time, things that are taking up my time that I don't make money on. My podcast, I don't make money on. My blog posts, I don't make money on. I love doing it, but I need to focus more of my energy and my effort and my time on things that do make money, and free up more time for my family and exercise and some of the things that I've been neglecting in my life. So I'm going to be making those changes. And I know I have your support because I know that it's not going to make a huge difference for you if I'm putting out one blog post a month or one a week. But if you miss my blog posts, or if you do miss me and feel like we're not connecting enough, please sign up for free to my Patreon, patreon.com/Annie Temple. And you can see all my previous live streams. I have a lot of content on there, and I think you'll like it. So I hope to see you there. YouTube, woo, you agree with me. Thanks, Mel. I went a little bit over. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday night. 31 viewers tonight. Woo! I think that's pretty damn good for a Friday night. I love you. I love you. I love you. And where you go, I'll follow. I'll follow. I'll follow. I know those aren't the words. I'm just being silly. Okay. Love ya.